We have Fletcher here in the studio, by the way. Fletcher, your nails match your album cover.
That's the point.
God, those are so cool.
It says GOMD, which is Girl in My Dreams. Yeah, which is the name of my album that just came out today.
Yay! I was gonna say happy album release day, debut album.
you.
Like it must be surreal. Like what are the feelings going on right now?
Oh, so much. There's like so much coursing through me at the moment. It's like excitement and nerves, relief, just so much joy. Like I'm so happy for this album to be out in the world. It's been like so close to my heart for so long, and to finally like be able to share it with people feels really special.
Yeah, I feel like 2019 was that the year you did iHeart? You did, yeah. I feel like then, and then you were supposed to do a thing with Niall. Like you were ready to launch, and then freaking COVID happened. Like what the hell? So it's really nice that I know you've had a busy summer and you just got back from like New Zealand and Australia. How was that?
It was such a wild time. I mean, to go for so long, not like being on the road and kind of just being like locked up in this sort of bubble, and then I'm about to go on my 4th headline tour of this year, which is really wild. So to go from all of that to like suddenly being back out on the road and performing this music that like, you know, I have never played before for people. Like my last EP, the Sex Tapes, like never was something I got to perform. And Australia, New Zealand was amazing. They made me do a shoey in Australia, which is when you pour alcohol in your shoe and then drink it.
Did they give you a shoe to use?
So I used my own shoe because I was like because people were throwing their shoes at me on stage, and I was like, this kind of feels like a safety hazard. And so then I poured, you know, a drink into my shoe and I chugged it on stage at my Sydney show.
Listen,
and I'm like, warm welcome to Australia, guys.
Just a tip. Listen, you're a big star now, so you can on your rider ask for a clean, brand new shoe.
Yeah, that's going to have to be in Australia because I feel like it's good. And they were asking me to do it at every single show.
It's like the Eminem thing,
shows.
but ask for a clean shoe, like a Ked or something, easy to drink out of.
Yeah, just like really weirdly specific. There's just one shoe on Fletcher's rider. They're like, what's this artist up to?
So did that like help you like ease the nerves? Do you get nervous?
Yeah, I do. I used to get extremely, extremely nervous, especially over like the pandemic. I developed like a really intense performance anxiety because I just hadn't like communicated with any humans, you know, so it was like social anxiety, performance anxiety, you know, I was really nervous to go back out on the road again, but it was like such a warm embrace, and I was like genuinely so happy and excited to like have people, you know, to sing songs and like be together and like sweat and dance and cry and drink and like just like such a celebration of this togetherness, which was it's like the whole reason why I do any of this. It's such a reward of it all for me.
Wow. You're a local girl. You're from like Jersey Shore, right?
I'm from the Jersey Shore, baby.
So what's it like when you perform somewhere like across the world? Are you afraid that they might not be as familiar? Like, what's that like?
I mean, the most mind-blowing concept is to go to another country that I've never been to before, and I walk into the room, and to have people where English is not their first language or like singing these words back to me is like the most like chilling, mind-blowing thing. I can never quite put into words like how wild that experience is. And I'm a Jersey girl through and through. I'm going home this weekend to play a festival in Asbury Park called See Here Now, which I like grew up there. So it's, you know, I'm playing right before Stevie Nicks on Saturday night, and yeah, it's like this really weird full circle moment. I just got home from Australia, but I'm like going home to play, and like my whole family's in town. My grandma, like everybody's all coming out like to see this.
So your whole family's going to this festival?
My whole family. I'm gonna bring my grandma up on stage.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a really cute moment, and I pinch myself every day that this is my job. I also like I always sign boobs at my show, and like
that must be a fun job.
I sign boobs for a living. Like my mother is so proud.
I mean, that's something to be proud of. That's like the fact that you're out there doing what you love is something else. Now, I was with my friend Aubrey Elise yesterday in the car, and I mentioned that I was going to interview you.
Okay.
And she's like, ask her about Becky. And I was like, she's like, the TikTok controversy. I need to know. Okay, so maybe we should backtrack a little bit. So Becky's So Hot. Yeah, so Becky's So Hot, song you wrote, single that's out, has a story behind it. And I think it's like a really relatable story.
Okay, I'll tell it.
Yes.
So I was in the studio, and I was actually writing a different song at the time. and I was creeping on my ex's new girlfriend on Instagram.
As you
Obviously,
do.
as you do. You like want to see who the ex is dating, and you got to catch the vibes. And so she had posted a photo wearing an old vintage t-shirt of my ex's, and it's one that I've worn in the past before as well. And so I was like, oof, I was like, this stings to like see her in the same shirt that I've worn, but she also looks so hot in the t-shirt that I like can't even be mad about it. And then I accidentally liked the picture on Instagram.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I was like, I like threw my phone away. I was like, I'm like, guys, what do? Do I leave it? What if she's on Instagram and she's gonna see the like? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
even if you remove it, that's still gonna
even
be
if
there.
I remove it.
Yeah.
So I literally was just like, okay, we're gonna leave the like. But then I stopped the song we were writing, and I'm like, we have to write this song. You know, we have to write about my ex's girlfriend looking really hot in this t-shirt, hotter than I ever looked in the t-shirt.
I tried to Google her. I honestly, I think like there's no way that she looks hotter than you in that
you know
t-shirt.
what? The other thing for me too is just like it's never been. I'm like, this is. I never even wanted anybody to be like, oh, you know, you're hotter in or whatever. It's like, no, it's never been about like pitting women against each other. I'm just like, I want to lift up other people and be like, you look sexy. Like, I'm so here for that. And it's a really weird, complex part about like moving on from somebody, you know?
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
also like I'm just thinking it's so relatable. Like who hasn't creeped on an ex? Who doesn't wonder and feel like that pit of jealousy a little bit, but also like wish that other person well and be like, good for you.
Totally.
But you know, the liking of somebody like that, I'm always terrified with the people, you know, on my list.
And now I'm like so like hyper focused on it. I'm like,
watch those nails.
I know. I'm staying off Instagram with these nails for the next 2 weeks because I feel like I'm accidentally gonna double tap on something.
But like your job is basically you're a storyteller, and I think this song in particular is like such a visual way to tell the story because it's you can picture it.
Yeah.
You can picture the t-shirt. What's it like performing that one?
I don't know that I've ever performed a song that like goes so energetically crazy. Like when the second that guitar riff starts in the beginning, people like lose their minds. And going on tour in Australia like 2 weeks ago, it was like the first time that I had actually played it out, you know, like at one of my shows. The first time ever was at Lalapalooza. I played main stage at Lalapalooza, and it was like 20,000 people like singing back Becky's So Hot, and I was like,
where you're like, holy crap,
like,
this is like a brand new song.
I know, and I had just literally put it out like 4 days prior, like it had just came out, and it had just come out, so crazy. And yeah, no, and I'm so on the same page as you. It's just like, you know, breakups are really, really complicated. But I've always been somebody that's like so interested in the more complex and nuanced conversations, like all the feelings that people are like, are you sure you want to talk about that? I'm like, those are the ones that I like want to bring to the table and I want to have conversations about, because there's so much like healing and light on the other side of those. And yeah, I don't believe in like editing your narrative or censorship. So I just am like, free the nipple, let's go.
Yeah, sign those boobs. I listen, I appreciate, that's what I think appreciate the most about you as an artist, is that like, you're not afraid to put it out there, give examples of your life. Like you've talked about how you feel about specific labels and how it's not really how you live your life. I think also like just all the work that you do with the LGBTQ community, do you feel an obligation to like put your life out there and get people emotionally invested in that just to support the community?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I just, as somebody, I grew up in like a really small conservative town, and like I grew up going to church and knowing that I was queer from a really young age. There was a lot of like unlearning that I had to do, and a lot of confusion and a lot of things that I like suppressed and felt like I had to make smaller. And I think my way of healing that like through my life has just been being really honest about my like experiences. And I got to a point where I'm like, oh wait, no, this has been so healing for me to talk about, and it's weirdly been healing for other people too, to like hear about that perspective and to like see themselves or parts of their story in somebody else. And so that representation is something that's always been so important to me. And so I don't feel any necessarily like an obligation to anything. To me, it's more so just an honoring like of myself and like the little version of myself that like needed this artist when I was younger. And so it's for that. And it's not for anything, you know, other than that. Though I obviously like, I love, you know, being like a part of the LGBTQ plus community. But more than queerness, it's just really just been about me talking about like my honest feelings. Cause like at the root of that, take sexuality out of it. Like we all have like, we've all felt like jealousy, rage, lust, you know, confusion. But also my album like lands in a place of like deep radical self-love, and it kind of walks you on that whole journey, how like a crazy intense heartbreak can turn into like you loving yourself more than you ever could have imagined.
Yeah. You know, they always say that after a breakup you need to focus on yourself, and it's like when you're going through it at the time, you're just like, I don't know what that effing means. Like, what the hell?
No, my God. It's also so not linear. Like, there's also just no right path to it. Like, I remember starting like a 21-day podcast on like how to love yourself through mirror work. And it was so cheesy. And it was like, stare in your eyes today. And I found it really hard. It was like really hard for me to do. I felt like I didn't know the person. I was like, oh, I also see like so much pain there, and this feels really weird. And one of the things that we had to say was like, I love you, and then say your name after it. But it felt really cheesy to me to do. So I was like, how would I make this a version of myself? And I looked in the mirror and I said, I love you, bitch. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Or maybe
we can say anything.
We might have to bleep that. Okay.
No, it's cool.
But I love you. I was like, I love you, bitch. And that's now a song on my album. I went to the studio that day, and I love you, bitch is like one of the records, you know, one of the songs on my album. And it just, you know, and so I still have that written on my mirror, like to this day. And so, yeah, it's like one of those things where it's just like, it doesn't look the same for everybody, and it takes a long time, but this album's like a time capsule of like my growth over the last 2 years. And it starts with, you know, the Becky So Hot and like the really intense, like where I started with all of these feelings, where I left off with my last EP, and it lands on, you know, where we're at now.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting people know it's okay to not have to fit into a certain box where people like have these like, expectations of you.
Yeah.
I think that you're a role model, and I love the fact that you are taking this album and really making your personal diary so public, and just for other people to consume and just feel like they're not alone in their journey. And I think you're rocking it.
Thank you so much.
So
I appreciate you.
So pick up the album, and again, you're going to be at the See Here Now Festival, Asbury Park tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. See Here Now Festival, and then
Monday in New York City.
I'll be Monday. Yes, Monday. I'm going to be visiting a vinyl shop and signing albums and boobs if you want it. I'm
going to have to go get my Sharpie.
Let's go.
That's not for on camera. But Fletcher, thank you so much. Girl of My Dreams out now. You can listen to it on iHeartRadio.
Thank you so much.